Ooh. That's going to be good. It's the lunch break again, the Undercover Policing Inquiry, and that sound you can hear has just started. Hopefully it won't continue for the entirety of this broadcast. That's very irritating. We've been listening to the questioning of Alan Mitchell about his role as Chief Superintendent of the SDS between 2003 and 2005. He's been questioned about the role he played in Operation Magna, which was the response of Special Branch to the litigation that was brought by Peter Francis and HN 123, which dealt with violent conduct, sexual activity, and psychological harm as part of their undercover deployments. He was put in charge of certain aspects of the response of that, including providing the statements to other senior management. He claims to have no memory of any of this. No memory at all. He was also, he does remember that he was a witness in Lois Austin versus the Met, which was in relation to the May Day 2001 unlawful detention, which later got referred to as kettling. He says that he didn't put two and two together, that he was running Carlo Sirachi, an undercover officer in the Socialist Party, which obviously Lois Austin was also a member of. I'm joined by Emily Apple, regular of this parish. What did you make of what we heard?
Oh my God, he is so boring. And he's claiming not to remember anything. He is coming across as incredibly stupid. And yeah, this not being able to put two and two together with Sirachi. I mean, it lacks credibility. It would lack credibility with anyone. But like, given his rank, and I know we can talk about police intelligence being an oxymoron, but you know, he's just not credible. And I think pretty much every topic we've covered today has been, oh, I don't remember. Or you'd have to ask someone else about that. It's like a lot of passing the buck. I mean, even around like the May Day litigation, which was obviously a key case for the Metropolitan Police. They wanted to win that case because they wanted to be able to continue kettling people. And it's very obvious from the amount of resources they put into it. I mean, it was obvious at the time. It's obvious from the disclosure how important it was to the Met. His response was, oh, well, that would be a question for legal services. I couldn't possibly comment on whether this was an important case for the Met. And it's just pathetic.
It really is utterly ridiculous. The whole sort of the things around the May Day 2001 unlawful detention was something which he had oversight on a number of different angles, as was shown by the paperwork. It was shown that, the fact that he appeared in court. You know, I mean, it's not. Like the fact that he has to admit that he knew he didn't do it, but he claims he can't remember any of the detail.
Oh, it's utter bullshit. And again, it's this litigation advantage, and a clear litigation advantage that the Met Police were giving themselves. And we see it in other cases as well, but I think the May Day 2001 litigation exemplifies it. Because, you know, especially with him, you know, like he's giving evidence, but he's got an awareness of all these undercover operations that he is not disclosing in his evidence. And I find it quite ironic that we started after the break talking about my case at the Grosvenor House Hotel, where we had some dolls with fake blood that were supposed to be for street theatre.
This was the Farnborough Show Gala dinner.
Yeah. If you're watching, Farnborough's on next week. Go check out Campaign Against the Arms Trade and get involved in shutting down Farnborough.
Sorry about the noise.
It was claimed that I was going to fabricate my defence, which I wasn't. There's a load of evidence, and you know, it seems that the inquiry has accepted that evidence because it's very, very clear.
I mean, even the words of HN3 Covenant Jason Bishop, who gave evidence to the inquiry, was that like, oh no, there was no suggestion. Even his report at the time said there was no hostile intent. He said when he gave evidence to the inquiry that it must have been misunderstanding by McDowell to suggest that. Yeah,
it's utter bullshit. But you know, there's all these documents saying that I was essentially prepared to commit perjury and pervert the course of justice in using this word fabricated. And then we've got him who has misled a court, has deliberately withheld information from a really key piece of litigation. And but he can't remember. And again, it's this whole thing of, oh yeah, apparently the law doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, literally. The other big area, what was been referred to as the AB litigation, which is Peter Francis and HM123 bringing a case against the Met. The fact that he claims not to remember anything or reading the statements is very significant, because what's included in those statements is written evidence by undercover officers whilst they were still being employed by the police, about the sexual abuse, about the violent conduct, about the psychological harms, and like by claiming ignorance of this, he sidesteps actually the fact that this obviously was all common knowledge, because we see that who else is named in having read these documents, and it's a who's who of the head of the unit at the time.
And he claimed that the Gold Group wouldn't have read the statements.
Yeah, nonsense.
It's. I mean, anyone like listening to his evidence cannot take him seriously in saying those things. I mean, if you're a Gold Group looking at this case that is being brought by these two officers, their role is to have gone through all the controversial, explosive issues, the issues that were going to get the unit in trouble, the issues that were going to cause litigation problems for them. The idea that they didn't go through these statements and go, oh, there's reference to relationships. Oh, there's references to what they did undercover. There's references to their welfare. Even if they didn't go through line by line, those key issues are so striking. And I think even I think she actually asked was this not considered, because it was just accepted that's what UCOs do. And I mean, that is also possible because they all bloody knew.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that what it was very telling that his response was that, I'm surprised it wasn't, if we had read it, then what would have been taken forward was that there would have been investigations into these things. And it's absolutely that by claiming ignorance of them, he can absolve himself from not having taken any further action, because obviously they all knew it. Obviously, this was just part and parcel of undercover deployments. That violent conduct, sexual abuse were just, that's what you did.
That's just how they operate, and they all knew that's how they operated. They can try and pass the buck as much as they want. They can try and come across as stupid as much as they want, and that's the position they're in. They can either admit to knowing these things so that they haven't done anything about it, or they have to say, oh, I'm a bit dumb and couldn't put stuff together. I was a senior police officer in charge of intelligence, but apparently I've got none.
Yeah, literally. I mean, we've heard other officers refer themselves as lazy, naive. I mean, it's embarrassing for them. I mean, I would be appalled to go out and refer to myself in such a manner. I think I've got too much self-respect. I mean,
absolutely,
it's shameful, right? Really. I mean, what kind of person does that? What person refers to himself in this way? It's just, for God's sake, pull yourselves together. The other big news that's come out today, we mentioned it earlier on the previous video, is that the Home Office is attempting to shut down the inquiry. I think it's very telling this has happened only one day after the Hillsborough law, the duty of candour that would exist, which would prevent theoretically, it would open the door to charges being brought against officers who are talking in such a way, as we've witnessed time and time again.
I mean, so many of them have so either deliberately lied or obfuscated or misled the inquiry, and this noise is very, very distracting.
It really is.
And having a means to challenge that and to be able to kind of then knowing that there could be criminal sanctions. I mean, I'm not entirely sure, given that they knew that they could be criminal sanctions for everything else that they've done, and they seem to think that's not going to happen to them. But maybe this would make a difference. And going into T4, if we were going into T4 with that law in place, it does place the inquiry on a very different footing and a very different way in which they have to approach their evidence. And it's very, very telling that the day after we get this consultation that basically wants to shut down our ability to get to the truth. And we can, the Home Office can say all they want about how much this inquiry has cost, how long it's taken, But for us, the survivors of the spy cops, none of that is our fault. We've been trying to get to the truth of this. Well, we've been trying to get to the truth of this for many, many, many years. There was a lot of campaigning to get to the point where we got to this public inquiry. And then over the last 11 years, the police have wasted as much time and as much money as possible by doing so many unnecessary privacy applications and anonymity applications. They've tried to shut things down at every opportunity that they've got because, you know, like even the stuff that we've seen that have got through, we have seen them to be liars, we've seen them to be misogynist, we've seen them to be racist, we've seen the extent of the political policing operation that was implemented against us. And they do not want that to happen in Transport as well, especially because we're getting so much closer to, you know, the movements that we're talking about today. But the fact that this inquiry has cost so much money is not our fault. It is the fault of the police. And this whole thing is the fault of the police. So then to limit what we could be getting, the justice that we're seeking, because the police who caused this damage in the first place has cost so much money, is utterly outrageous. I mean, it's disgusting.
It is disgusting. I'm aware the noise is probably far too distracting for us to make a sensible video. Can the venue find a better time to do the whatever it's Hoover making? I mean, it's actually construction work. Yeah. I mean, just quickly on that point about it's not just a unit, like campaigns from now that we're getting closer to by looking at the NPRU. It's also the personnel. You know, that so many of those officers were involved in the NPRU. They're that much younger than the SDS officers. Therefore, they're much more likely to be in senior roles right now, probably advising the government on policing. I should imagine.
And probably, you know, like they're I can't remember, is even less credible than some of these like officers in their 70s. Yeah,
absolutely. And we better go because the noise is so much.
It's very difficult to actually maintain a line of thought to talk without going on.
If you can even hear what we're saying. Thanks for joining. We'll do another video during the afternoon break at the end of the day. Hopefully there won't be any construction work happening. Who knows?